master the structure, master the subject, helping students succeed and teach us to eat smarter. Yastog Academy.
So here is a potential 4-mark calculation-based question for Edexcel A-level business. So looking at the question, it does appear as if it's a complicated question, but it's not. By the way, ignore the multiple choice. This is a multiple choice question from a set of questions that I've given my students. But ignore the options and see it as a 4-mark calculation-based question. So what you should do in the exam is make sure you take your pen, and as you read, you highlight the key aspects of the question. So let's start. So last week, the absenteeism rate of a business was 8%. Make a note of that. The number of days lost due to absence during the week was 100 days. Each member of staff works 5 days. So each member, they work 5 days. And the question is, how many staff were employed by the business last week? So what I've done, you could highlight or quickly scribble down the key points. So you'll see what I've done here is I've just quickly highlighted those key areas, but then I've quickly jotted them down. You could put them in abbreviation, but it all depends on how you work. So just to look at the key points again, 8%, that's absenteeism rate. The number of days lost, 100 days. The number of days worked by each employee, 5 days each. So once we have that, and maybe this should have been the first actually, formula first. So we're going to write the absenteeism rate formula, because that's really important, because that's what the question is about, even though we're asked to find how many staff were employed by the business in that week. So the absenteeism rate formula, and by the way, that rate is telling you that it's a percentage. So we're trying to find, the formula literally is just looking at this. Based on the number of days lost, we're trying to find what percentage the number of days lost is of the possible days worked. And of course, it's multiplied by 100 because it's in percentages. So that is absenteeism rate. The formula you need to remember is the number of days lost, because that's what we're trying to find out. All those days lost, what percentage rather is that number of all the possible days worked by the employees. Now, the possible days worked by the employees is calculated just simple arithmetic, I don't want to call it maths for people to freak out. But actually, possible days work must be the number of employees we currently have times the number of days each employee works. If you multiply that, you'll get the possible days worked. And the question I'm asking, what are we asked to find? Just remember that. So we're asked to find, you can see here, the number of employees. So from now on, we're going to refer to the number of employees as X. So every time you see X, which should be in red, I'm referring to the number of employees. So now what we're going to do is substitute the available numbers in the equation. And in so doing, the only number we will not be able to substitute is the very one that we're looking for. That is, again, the number of employees, which the question is about. So here we go. So in the formula, absenteeism rate is 8%. And remember, we said the formula is the number of days lost, in this case 100, divided by the possible days worked. And how do we get that? X again mean the number of employees times the number of days each employee actually has worked. And then don't forget to times 100. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is, and I know this is a little bit of math, but we're going to be multiplying each side of the equation by 5x to get rid of the 5x down here. But an easy way is just to bring that 5x up, and it becomes 5x times the 8. And of course, we're left with the 100 here at the top if we bring the 5x up. And so 100 times 100 give you 10,000. By the way, 8 times 5x will give you 40x. And then the 10,000 here, so it will be 40x is equal to 10,000. And again, to get rid of the 40, because remember that the objective is for the x to be on its own, or what we used to call x being the subject of this formula. So we need to get rid of the 40. So what we're going to do is, because 40 is attached by multiplication, we're going to divide both sides by 40. In a sense, we're bringing the 40 down here. So the 40 goes here. So we're now left with the x, 10,000 divided by 40. And that gives us x is equal to 250. And remember what was that x represents? The number of employees. That's in the question. You can see that. Again. And then, so that's the answer. Therefore, the number of staff employed that last week is 250 employees. So a quick run through again. So we highlight the key bits of the questions in this question. 8% absenteeism rate, number of days lost 100, number of days worked by each employee 5 days. We're asked to find how many staff were employed by the business last week. Because the question is about absenteeism, we write down the absenteeism rate formula, which is the number of days lost divided by possible days worked times 100. And of course, the possible days worked can only be calculated by the number of employees. Times the amount of days each of those employees worked. And then in this question, just to remind ourselves, we're asked to find the number of employees employed last week. So we're going to refer to that as X. And then we're going to substitute in the formula here the numbers in the question and the formula. So we'll put the 8, which is absenteeism rate, which is equal to 100 days lost. And that is upon the possible days work, which is, how do we work that? Is the number of employees, which is X times 5, because 5 days each employee worked. And again, with times 100. We're going to bring this 5x, because it is 5x, up. And that is 5x times 8 is equal to 100 times 100, which is 10,000. 8 times 5x is 40x, which is equal to 10,000. And again, we want to get rid of the 40 because x needs to remain needs to be the subject of the formula. So of course because 40 is attached to x by multiplication, then we divide to get rid of the 40. In a sense, we're bringing the 40 down under the 10,000 here. And then it's x is equal to 10,000 divided by 40. That gives us x is equal to 250 employees. And I've just said here, remember that x represents the number of employees, which we established at the beginning. And therefore, the number of staff employed last week was 250 employees. I hope that gives some clarification there. It appears difficult, but it's not that bad. Thank you for watching. Any question, please send them to me. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Yastug Academy, helping students succeed and teachers teach smarter. If this helped you, please subscribe and take the next step toward clearer thinking, and better results.